Howdy, howdy, howdy. Today is August 9th, 2016. Welcome to the Gardener. Today we're going to do a garden tour and some updates on some things here. As you can see, the trellis seems to be working pretty well. It's getting a little heavy because all the green beans in the world are growing. Well, the vines are. There are blossoms, as you can see. So the trellis is working out pretty well. I may have to stake it down a bit to keep it taut because, as you can see, the pile up of green beans there. Alrighty. Over here in the back jammer of the bed here, if you remember in my last video, we dug up the potatoes. What I did now is I've started a fall crop here. I got a couple of lettuces, turnips over here, that's those little sprouts, maybe some radishes that I threw in there. And over there in that blank area is actually beets that I planted, which you might actually see some right there. So some beets are actually coming up now. I think they're beets anyway. So that's pretty good. The tomatoes over here are doing okay, now that they're kind of staked up a bit. The Brussels sprouts, as you remembered, I left some of them, and they're starting to do their little Brussels sprout thing. Maybe I'll get a couple, I don't know. And these guys, they're doing the seed thing. So basically with broccoli, you get little seed pods like this, kind of like green beans if you think about it. And then you just basically let those dry up, and then you get seeds. And then you have broccoli seeds. Pretty cool. Alright, as for the flowers, they're doing well over here on this little border. The cosmos are doing crazy big, kind of getting in the way of the walkway. Snapdragons are doing well, they keep flowering, that's why I like the snapdragons. Over here in these flowers, the zinnias are doing well. And the green that's in there is also the thing, Shasta daisies. Shasta daisies. And the marigold doing crazy. Over here in the front of the green beans, I have this bed here. A bunch of it is the basil that I planted out from seed starts, which are doing pretty good. Also, there's some beets that I planted that came up, and then turnips in this little spot. And all along here, there is a mixture of different plants. There is a volunteer, what I believe is an eggplant. I don't think that's gonna come to term before it gets too cold for it. I've had some radishes, which have all been eaten by the groundhog. So the radishes are doing okay. I've gotten some decent sized ones. Tip on radishes is do try to thin. I usually make that mistake and I don't get big radishes. And carrots interplanted there. Basils again. So I'll have lots of basil for pestos. Also, the groundhog decided that he was going to munch away on the sunflowers here. A couple of them are surviving. Alright. Over here in the main garden is the grapevine, which is doing pretty well. There are still lots of grapes here and there. They're not ripening yet. Some of them are drying off, turning into raisins. So, I don't know if it's the lack of water this year, which we haven't gotten a lot of rain, so hopefully that will do pretty good. And up front here, I've tried to plant stuff, but between the cats and the birds just digging everything up here, had a bunch of herbs growing here. There's some basil that survived. There was some radishes. It's just the cats seem to like it. I tried putting these stakes up, which you should be able to see right there, to keep them out, and that kind of worked, just not so much, but it's mainly the birds. They're coming in here, picking through the dirt to get to the worms, which they seem to really like. But on the other half, it's still crazy with the carrots. Maybe not crazy, but there are carrots and some turnips, along with flowers. So, getting something on this back bed, but it doesn't quite get enough light, I think. So I'm going to have to change tack on that next season. So the mystery plant from the last video, it turns out to be butternut squash, as you can see, which I think they're almost ready to harvest. There's about 3 of them here. There's one kind of through there, which I don't know if you can see too well. Zucchinis in the rustic raised bed. Doing pretty good. I've gotten quite a lot of zucchinis. I've also gotten some vine borer, which is fine. I have about 4 zucchini plants, which is more than enough. Might be making a video about zucchini bread, because I need to make a bunch of that. Brussels sprout over here, that got devoured by the groundhog. Just keeps finding all the Brussels sprouts. Except for this one. He, you know, kind of left this one alone, which is nice. Alrighty. So yes, this green bean trellis over here is giving me absolutely nothing. This one was planted well before the other trellis, and last year it's gave me a decent crop of beans, but this year there's nothing. It's just all green. I think maybe the soil is too rich over here, or it's not getting enough light. So no beans in this one next year. I'll probably make this bed into maybe lettuce or greens, maybe tomatoes. I don't know yet, but it doesn't get enough light, so probably leafy greens. Over in the lasagna bed, which has sunk down quite a bit, I still have a bunch of Swiss chard. It's doing pretty well. You know, been harvesting on this on and off. A volunteer tomato plant with a tomato that needs to be picked, which is pretty sweet. Speaking of tomatoes, we have the tomato bed. It's pretty awesome. I've been getting a ton of cherry tomatoes. As you can see, there are quite a few ripe ones. That's going to be on the list today of things to do. And while I'm at it, I'm going to prune off all these dead branches and things. I don't know if it's blight. I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of, maybe it's blight. It is getting late season. Well, maybe not late season, but these guys have grown quite insanely. So those guys are doing good. The black cherry tomatoes, the plant that was given to me by one of my friends at work, is doing awesome. I do love the black cherry tomatoes. The kumatos, the brown tomatoes, don't know if you're familiar with those. I saved the seeds from a grocery store tomato, and they are doing quite well here as well. Now, my Abe Lincoln tomatoes. You may notice that they are in a weird position. During one of the storms recently, it fell over, so I got some cord here from the dollar store. I am a fan of dollar store fixers. And I just kind of tied them up off the ground. I mean, I don't know if you can see this cluster of all these tomatoes. It's freaking ridiculous. That's a huge cluster. Abe Lincoln tomatoes. Huge, delicious cutting tomatoes. Second year growing them. They are flippin' amazing. So, if you're looking for a good tomato, that's a good one. Heirloom too. Alright, this mystery squash plant that I wasn't sure what it was, it turns out that it's a crookneck. Crookneck yellow squash, which is pretty nice. Didn't actually plan on planting any of them, but they turned out to be on either end of this bed here. So that's pretty sweet and awesome. I like it okay. Not my favorite squash, but it's still a good squash to have. Alright, the beet bed here. Beets are doing pretty good. Definitely better than any I've had before. You know, not a lot of top growth, which is fine. You know, I may get a decent harvest of beets, or at least very much a couple of them. And on the other end of the middle bed here is another crookneck squash plant, which is quite huge. It's getting some powdery mildew, probably from the humid weather we've been having. But it's still producing some squash, which is nice. My cucumbers here are producing. I've actually never seen them get this kind of fat and round. I usually get longer, skinnier cucumbers. I don't know if it's the variety or something. I don't really know. And then carrots and some beets mixed in. That's where I had the radishes earlier in the season, which I thought we were going to do better. But there are a couple radishes here with some carrots. The marigold is doing pretty good. And then the other flower bed here, zinnias over there doing great. The cosmos, which are like getting really big, but not flowering as much as the other ones, probably from the lack of light. But these sunflowers are flipping huge and tall, which is really cool. And I think I may have a nice mixed seed of something, because these were like seeds that I saved. And I think, yeah, you can see right there, it's making another flower head. And this one already has a flower head. I know a neighbor not too far away grows the multi-head ones. Because I saved these ones from seed that I had from last year. And the ones that I had last year only had a single flower up there. So maybe I'm going to get this nice mixed breed. I'll save this one particularly and see if I can get them to get multiple heads, which will be pretty cool. Alright, the little tiny square bed that I have here across from the squash plants, which I'll show you in a second. Alright, so the black beans grew pretty well. I harvested them. I don't have a lot. I'm actually going to save the seed and replant it. So if you keep, planting and saving seed, it supposedly makes them more acclimated to the growing conditions in your area. So I'm going to try to do that, see if I can get a goodish amount for next year. I don't have a lot, but I think it should be enough to plant out and get a decent harvest if they all do well. Who knows? I'll keep you apprised on that next year. Green beans are doing pretty well here. Since this was a new bed, I decided to do mainly beans here. Kind of enrich the soil more. And they're doing pretty well. Over here in the little squash bed area, I have another zucchini here, which is looking pretty pretty. I have to do a harvest on that shortly. And this guy over here. It's pretty amazing how big and huge these squash plants get. There is some butternut squashes that I put here that are kind of trestling away. Alright, so now the front up here, where I had the peas, is the lettuce that I transplanted, which is not really doing too hot. I kind of thought it would be doing better up here. Again, it may be the lack of light since I have the corn in front. And I tried to plant some herbs over here, but again, between the cats and the birds, they just keep tearing everything up. And I'm kind of like letting it trickle a little, trying to see if I can get these lettuces to grow. It is August, after all, so maybe it's still a bit warm for them. But I was hoping that I'd get some decent crops. Alright, take two. So the Three Sisters garden. It's hit and miss at this point. I guess at the end of the season I will tell you if it's a success or failure. But it is, first week of August. And there are some cobs. I mean, these ones are tiny. The green beans on here have not even flowered. So I don't know if it's the same issue that I have with my trellis over there, where it's not getting enough light or the soil's too rich. I can't really tell with the green beans. And the squash that is in between, they're just kind of small and not doing too well. So hopefully I'll get something good. I'll let you know if I call it a success or failure when the time comes. But as you can see here, this is a slightly different variety of corn. With like the red hairs there. And those seem to be doing better. I planted those ones later than the ones in the front. So I think maybe I started the corn too early. Or it's not getting quite enough sun. So, keep you apprised on that situation. So right now, Three Sisters garden is a question mark. Alright, so the blueberry patch here. I got a couple of blueberries like I thought I would, not a lot. They were pretty good from what I can remember. But now they're actually doing pretty decent on growth. Because these are now heading into year, I guess, 3 here. So, first year I planted them, I didn't get anything. They were just kind of establishing. And now this would technically be the first full year that they've been here in the ground. So, maybe next year I'll get a small harvest that I'll be able to have, but they're definitely getting bushier. These are going to be high bushes. They're doing pretty good, I think. Yeah. The herb bathtub here. So I planted out this basil from the start. It's doing very good. And then this sage, which I think is maybe the pineapple? Yeah, I think that's the pineapple sage. Is just completely taking over. Because there was regular sage down back here, and that's just getting shaded out. And then I also put in some rosemary in here, and it's doing okay, but it's definitely getting shaded. So I will have a ton of basil between that, those beds over there, and the herb tile over there. So, plenty of basil. I'll have more sage than I know what to do with. But yeah, that's the sage and the herbs. I'll show you the tire in just a second. Alright, here's the herb tire. I'm gonna have to do some major weeding, and it's, you know, another project that has to get done. The oregano is just kind of taking over, so I don't know if I'm going to do something drastic like cut it again and just hope for the best. Basil's doing good. And then these guys here, which is chives, there we go. Chives are doing pretty good. And the dill is just flowering, being pretty awesome, but yeah, it's kind of just gotten taken over, so I have to do some TLC weeding on this guy here. Alrighty. So yes, all the tomatoes are also over here as well. I have more of the Abe Lincoln over here, a bunch of the cherry tomatoes, and some more tomatoes. Again, you know, I think it's just the cherry tomatoes are just not doing too well, at least some of them. So again, I have to do another big harvest and just take care of it. And just, yeah, I mean, I'll have a lot of tomatoes, which is pretty cool. Then up here is a random corn. I believe it's corn. Might be popcorn, because I do have popcorn from time to time, and, you know, I do kind of chuck seeds for the birds from time to time. Over here, if you remember, I was supposed to do something with that. Still haven't. I just have projects on projects that I have to get done, and not as much time as I thought I would this year. Also, I'm, you know, tired, lazy, it's hot. All those excuses. Take two. Alright, in the back patio garden here in the containers, we have the leeks, which are doing pretty good. I'm pretty happy about those. Then over here, I threw some radishes in here because I really didn't have any idea what else to pop in here, which are doing pretty good. There might also be some loose leaf lettuce in there when it grows. I think I just kind of scattered some seeds and hoping for the best. Then over here is more Black Simpson lettuce. I had to re-sow it because the other ones just kind of went to seed, and there is some radishes in here. So it's a nice little salad mix. So I got some plant starts here. I have the more Swiss chard starts. So I'll have the, you know, a bit more for the winter garden, or fall garden I should say. And then the eucalyptus, which is doing pretty good. I'm going to have to probably pot these guys up again and kind of try to overwinter them in the house and hope that they will survive. And then back right there is rosemary that I've now had for like 2 years. So I'm trying to let this guy grow up and see if I can continue to get some cuttings. I mean, I have a couple other starts here and there from them. The other one in the bathtub is another one from the same plant. So I just keep saving. This is the Garden Nerd signing off. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Drop me a comment. Tell me what you think. Alright, bye.